Sagaratam Ganavaganatam Natam Stam Sadevam Advaitam Savaritam Parijana Saidam Sikrishta Detam Yadevam Tirara Krishna Pada Jasi Vishika Netamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Gopisha Gopakanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vidavishwari Vishavanu Sutadevi Pranamame Harebe Panchakalpa Kribasya Sindhu Bevata Bhatitanam Bhavi Vishnu Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakti Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So today is a doubly auspicious day, the day on which Srila Prabhupada took sannyas.
तो आज बहुत ही पावन तिथि है। आज के दिन में श्रील प्रभुपाद जी ने संन्यास ग्रहण किया है।
Also the day on which Vishwarupa, the elder brother of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Mahotsava, at the age of 16, he accepted sannyas from Krishna, Bharati, and Kasi, Varanasi. It also said to be the day on which he departed from this world and Pandharpur on the banks of the Bhima River by entering the deity of Sri Vishwatalana. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Bolo. So, Vishwarupa, being the elder brother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is Shankarshan of the Chaturvyuha. If you know the way it's structured, the way it's structured, there's the first set of Chaturvyuha, the expansions of Baladev, and a second set of Chaturvyuha. So four primary Vishnu expansions, Shankashan, Vasudev, Aniruddha, Pradyumna. Then there is a second set of Chaturvyuha that expands from them. It's this second set of Chaturvyuha that the Vishnu avatars are expanding, who are the controllers of the universe. They are all portions of plenty portions of Baladev. The details are given in the Adila Chaitanya Charitamrita. The full scope is quite technical. That's why Srila Prabhupada presented Madhurya before Adila, because Adila is very technical, you know. He wanted devotees to dive deep into Gaura Lila. But I don't remember if it's the description of Nityananda Prabhu or Advaita Charya, because the two chapters are similar in content because they are both expansions of Baladev. There's a couple of pages in Chaitanya Charitamrita where all the expansions, the positions of the conchas, club, disc, and lotus flower, there are only 4 items, but somehow or other, when it's expanded out, it comes to more than 100 different positions. So Sankarshan is one of these expansions. Thus, appearing as his elder brother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very appropriate because he's Baladev. There are different opinions in his pastime by different acharyas. The dates, different acharyas have different dates. So Mahaprabhu went to South India on the excuse of finding his brother. He also took sannyas on that day. Began to search for his brother Vishwarupa. So just consider the auspiciousness that Srila Prabhupada took sannyas on the same day as Mahaprabhu. So obviously, astrologically, today is a very auspicious day. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he comments that Vishwarup is Sankarshan and is therefore non-different from Sri Nityananda Swarup. Baladev has expanded as a portion of a plenary portion. He's expanded as Vishwarup. If one hears the pastime, this is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He will attain freedom from the bondage of fruitive activity. So the Purusha incarnations, Karandakashaya Vishnu, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, Shuddhakashaya Vishnu, they're coming from Swarup. They're coming from this elder brother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sankarshan, they're coming from Sankarshan. He's very scientific. So he's no small player. Of course, Mahaprabhu is Supreme Personality of Godhead, so of course he knew the whole situation, what was going on, and who Vishwarup was. He knew all these things, of course.
महाप्रभु जो है स्वयं श्री भगवान है, तो इसलिए वो जानते थे कि कौन क्या है.
But under the influence of Lila Shakti, he took the excuse to go on this tour of South India for preaching.
तो लीला शक्ति के अंतर्गत होते हुए श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु दक्षिण भारत की तरफ गए प्रचार करने के लिए.
It's described Chaitanya Charitamrita that when Mahaprabhu went on his tour south of India, he made millions of devotees. You heard me, millions.
जब महाप्रभु दक्षिण भारत गए थे तब उन्होंने असंख्य मिलियन की संख्या में जो है भक्त बनाए थे, लाखों.
There were so many followers of Mahaprabhu that they were smashing down buildings. The crowd was too big, you know.
तो इतने सारे वहाँ पे महाप्रभु के जो है अनुयायी हो गए थे कि सब जो है बिल्डिंग को भी पार करते हुए जा रहे थे, तोड़ते हुए.
I thought about that one year when I was in Mayapur and the Parikram combined 3 Parikram parties came back from Navadvip.
तो मैं जब मायापुर में था परिक्रमा में, तब जब सारी जो दल होते हैं सब मिल जाते हैं.
There were, 2,000-3,000, maybe 3,000 devotees, and the 3 parties, Russian, Hindi, and Bengali, and English, joined together.
लगभग 3,000 से भी अधिक संख्या में भक्त होते थे जब रशियन, हिंदी और बंगाली भक्त एक साथ आ रहे थे.
So I was smashed against the wall. I mean, 3,000 people putting pressure on me, you know. So I thought about this, how Mahaprabhu was, his followers were crushing buildings and knocking everything over because there were so many followers. He made so many. Demonstrating Adi Guru. This movement is all modeled after that. This movement is all modeled after that. He was converting Sri Vaishnavas and followers of Madhurya also. He was debating with the Madhava devotees. That dialogue is given in Chaitanya Charitamrita. So although we are the Madhava Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So Madhvacharya is in our line. But there were some differences of philosophy in those days. Today, Udupi is the headquarters of Madhvacharya. There's some followers of Madhvacharya who don't accept that we're bona fide, they don't accept that there's a connection between Mahaprabhu and Madhvacharya. They don't. Some do, some don't. So that is Vishwarupa. And the Gora Chandrodaya, it said that Vishwarupa on his departure remained mixed within Sri Nityananda Prabhu. He entered into Nityananda Prabhu according to some accounts. Prabhupada comments, because Maharaj Shankarshan is the ingredient and the efficient cause of the cosmic manifestation, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore called him his elder brother. The 2 brothers are known as Krishna Balarama in the spiritual world. At the present, they are known as Chaitanya and Nitya. Therefore, the conclusion is that Shankarshan, Nityananda Prabhu is the original Shankarshan Baladev.
इसीलिए जो सार ये है कि श्री बलदेव जी ही विस्तार हैं श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु।
Now we'll talk about the acceptance of sannyas by Srila Prabhupada. So obviously Srila Prabhupada knew astrology.
तो आप जो है श्रील प्रभुपाद जी के संन्यास के बारे में वर्णन करेंगे। श्रील प्रभुपाद जी जो है जानते थे,
He certainly knew that this astrologic was an auspicious day, certainly.
वो जानते थे कि ये ज्योतिषी के हिसाब से बहुत ही पावन तिथि है।
Sometimes there is debate in our society about astrology.
तो बहुत बार ऐसा तर्क होता है हमारे संस्था में भी इस ज्योतिषी को लेकर।
But foolish devotees who don't know the history, don't know anything about the situation.
तो जो नए भक्त होते हैं जो इतने नए होते हैं वो उतना नहीं जानते जो इतिहास है हमारे।
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was an extremely conservative devotee.
भक्ति शास्त्र ठाकुर बहुत ही कंजर्वेटिव भक्त थे।
Well, unique because he was conservative and radical in the same package.
वो जो है कंजर्वेटिव और रेडिकल थे एक ही साथ में। तो ये
He was a tradition breaker by making Haridas Thakur a Muslim namacharya, unprecedented. No other Vaishnava would do that.
जिसको हमारे पहले भी ऐसा था कि हरिदास ठाकुर जो मुस्लिम परिवार में थे उनको भी नामाचार्य बना दिया गया।
Same time, in other ways, he was conservative.
तो उसी समय जो है वो बहुत ही कंजर्वेटिव थे।
So, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was learned in Jyotirveda.
तो भक्ति सिद्धांत ठाकुर जो है बहुत ही ज्योतिष शास्त्र में बहुत ही विद्वान थे।
Jyotirveda is not just the positions of the planets in the universe.
ज्योतिषी जो है केवल जो अलग-अलग ग्रह है उनका अपने स्थान पे स्थित होना नहीं है।
The modern distinction between astronomy and astrology is artificial. It's due to Kali Yuga.
तो अभी जो है जो ये आ रहे हैं एस्ट्रोनॉमी और एस्ट्रोलॉजी में
Because
ये के प्रभाव के कारण है।
there are not two shastras. There's not one shastra for astrology and one shastra for astronomy. They're one and the same, Jyotirveda.
तो ऐसा नहीं था कि पहले ये दोनों अलग-अलग थे, कोई एक शास्त्र था ज्योतिषी के लिए और एक शास्त्र था।
So Prabhupada also knew something of Jyotirveda. So he could understand the auspiciousness of the state.
प्रभुपाद जी जानते थे ज्योतिर्विद्या को, तो इसीलिए वो समझ पाए कि ये बहुत पावन तिथि है।
You all know that he was a householder
तो आप सब जानते हैं कि प्रभुपाद जी एक गृहस्थ थे
and he was running his business.
और वो जो है अपना व्यापार चलाते थे
And he was trying very hard,
और वो बहुत ही प्रयास कर रहे थे।
but he points out himself that Krishna is known as Hari, H-A-R-I.
और वो खुद ही स्वयं ही बताते हैं कि भगवान जो है वो हरि के नाम से जाने जाते हैं।
Hari means who takes away everything.
हरि का अर्थ है जो सब कुछ छीन ले।
I have sufficient experience.
मैं तो इसका बहुत ही
It's humorous the way Krishna dismantled my household life, just
जिस प्रकार
trashed
उन्होंने
it.
मेरा खुद का जो गृहस्थ जीवन है वो सब प्रवाह कर दिया।
At one point, all my belongings were in a parking lot at the Los Angeles Temple with a tarpaulin
एक
over it.
समय था जब मेरा जो जितना भी सामान था वो सब एक पार्किंग एरिया में था।
One by one, people were coming and helping themselves to my belongings.
तो एक-एक करके जो है लोग आ रहे थे और मेरे को मदद कर रहे थे मेरे।
So also, Hari, Krishna took away everything from me. That's why I'm in.
कृष्ण जो है हरि के नाम से जाने जाते हैं, तो इसीलिए मैं आज
If he hadn't done that, I wouldn't be sannyasi today.
अगर वो ऐसा नहीं करते तो मैं आज संन्यास नहीं।
So it's called grin and bear it. Grin and bear it. Grin means a smile.
ये हंसना और रोना दोनों।
Grin means a forced smile.
और ग्रीन है वर्ड है इसका मतलब है जबरदस्ती हंसना।
And bear it, tell her, so what could I do? I knew it was Krishna.
तो मैं समझ गया कि ये कृष्ण ही है।
It had his fingerprints all over it, so it was humorous but also a little painful.
तो वो अपनी छाप हर जगह छोड़ के गए थे, तो इसीलिए वो भले ही हास्य भी था लेकिन उसमें दुख
I
भी
knew what
था।
Krishna was doing. I knew what he was doing.
मैं जान पा रहा था कि कृष्ण क्या कर रहे थे,
But I did not exactly know that he was preparing me for sannyas.
लेकिन मैं ये एकदम सटीक तरीके से नहीं जान पा रहा था कि मुझे
But
संन्यास
I
क्या
was
करना है।
I was already a vanaprastha for quite some time.
लेकिन मैं बहुत उस समय पहले से ही जो है काफी समय से वानप्रस्थ में था।
So So Prabhupada was trying to make his business work.
प्रभुपाद जी जो है अपना व्यापार को चलाना चाह रहे थे अच्छे से
At one point, it was very successful.
और एक समय पे बहुत सफल भी रहे
By destiny, it was going down, down, down.
लेकिन भाग्य से जो है वो धीरे धीरे नीचे क्षीण होता गया व्यापार में
His servant contacted him saying, well, I want to rejoin you.
तो उनका एक दास ने उनसे पूछा कि मैं आपको दोबारा ज्वाइन करना चाहता हूँ वापस आना चाहता हूँ
Prabhupada told him flat out, I'm sorry, at this time my finances don't permit.
तो प्रभुपाद जी ने उनको मना किया नहीं अभी मेरा आर्थिक जो स्थिति है आर्थिक स्थिति होती है
So the business was collapsing, then he moved to another city,
फिर प्रभुपाद जी ने अपना व्यापार दूसरे शहर में
tried to start the business there again, even though he had failed his business in that same city before. But he tried to start it up
उसी
again.
शहर में पहले भी प्रभुपाद जी नाकामयाब रहे थे अपने व्यापार को स्थापित करने में
And
लेकिन फिर भी वहीं थे
again the business failed.
और फिर अगली बार भी इस बार भी जो है जो उनका व्यापार था वो नाकाम
So Krishna was not sanctioning his efforts to be successful in House of Life.
कृष्ण आगे नहीं दे रहे थे कि उनके जो प्रयास है वो सब सफल बने
His vision, his plan, see how we have our plans and Krishna has his plan.
तो उनकी योजना थी प्रभुपाद जी की ऐसी योजना थी और कृष्ण की अपनी योजना थी
So sometimes it's called tough love. Tough love.
तो ये बहुत ही मुश्किल प्रेम कहलाता है
When Krishna may take things into his own jurisdiction and deal with this in his own style with some pinch.
और जब कृष्ण जो है आपके सारा जो है शरीर छीन लेते हैं आपसे और फिर ये कठिन परिस्थिति में आपको डाल देते हैं
So I have insight into that because that's what Krishna did with me.
तो मेरे को इस बारे में इतना पता है क्योंकि कृष्ण ने मेरे साथ ये सब किया
And the same thing Krishna did with Srila Prabhupada.
और वैसे ही श्री प्रभुपाद जी के साथ भी कृष्ण ने किया
While he was trying to make money and get his business off the ground,
और जब श्री प्रभुपाद ऐसा प्रयास कर रहे थे अपने व्यापार को स्थापित
several times Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur appeared to him in a dream.
बहुत बार श्री भक्तिसिद्धांत ठाकुर उनके सपनों में आए थे
Beckoning,
उनको बुला रहे थे
you take sannyas.
कि आप सन्यास लीजिए आप सन्यास लीजिए
Prabhupada commented when he woke up, he was thinking, oh, how horrible. Because, he was deep in the middle of family life. Apparently he had 5 children.
तो प्रभुपाद जी संदेश होते थे तो सोचते थे वो
That's
सपना था तो
what
उस
this
समय प्रभुपाद जी के पास
Bhagavatam says. I
संतानें
didn't think he had that many. This says he had so many children.
थीं। तो उनके काफी जो है संतानें थी
Well, anyways, he had a lot of children and wife and house and all that. He was trying to keep it going.
तो उनकी पत्नी भी थी उनकी बहुत सारी संतानें भी थी और प्रभुपाद जी सारे देखे ये सब चलता रहे
But Krishna was collapsing it.
लेकिन कृष्ण इसको क्षीण करे जा रहे थे
He had very less money.
और फिर प्रभुपाद जी का बहुत कम धन था
So that's why this led up to that famous incident
तो इसीलिए एक बहुत ही फेमस जो है
where his wife sold his Srimad Bhagavatam
फेमस इंसिडेंट था कि जब उनकी जो पत्नी थी उन्होंने श्रीमद् भागवतम को
to get money for tea biscuits.
और ताकि वो धन ले सके चाय के बिस्किट खरीद सके
So Prabhupada was furious.
तो प्रभुपाद जी बहुत बोले थे इससे।
That's when he made that famous statement,
और उसी समय था जब प्रभुपाद जी ने ये
Tea or me?
कि चाय या फिर मैं
But she chose tea.
लेकिन उनकी पत्नी ने चुना चाय
Somehow or other, Srila Prabhupada, he was so disgusted.
लेकिन प्रभुपाद जी से बहुत दुखी थे
Of course, all of that was engineered by Krishna.
और यह सब किया गया था कृष्ण के द्वारा
That he should stop trying to be successful in household life.
कि वो जो है अपने गृहस्थी को सफल बनाने का प्रयास छोड़ दें।
Krishna sabotaged it every turn. His efforts at fruit of activity, Krishna sabotaged.
तो कृष्ण ने जो है सारा उनका विफल कर दिया जितने प्रयास किए थे
Of course, he wasn't trying to make money for sense gratification.
तो ऐसा नहीं था कि वो अपने हृदय तृप्ति के लिए धनराशि कमा रहे थे
His fantasy was, I'll make lots of money and then I'll print books.
प्रभुपाद जी की योजना थी कि मैं बहुत धन कमाऊंगा और फिर खूब पुस्तक वितरण करूंगा
It wasn't Krishna's plan.
लेकिन ये कृष्ण का योजना थी
We have to surrender to Krishna's plan.
हमें शरणागत होना है कृष्ण की योजना को
Can't get around it.
तो हम उससे बच नहीं सकते
So, of course, later, although Prabhupada was Trikalagya,
तो बाद में भले ही प्रभुपाद जी त्रिकालज्ञ थे,
knowing past, present, and future,
भूतकाल भविष्य वर्तमान
he could see how his humble efforts would turn into a great mission. He could see that.
तो आप देख सकते हो कि उनके जो बहुत ही उन्होंने कार्य किया वो किस प्रकार से है।
But under Yoga Maya, in the middle of that,
लेकिन योग माया के द्वारा उसके बीच में
it was not so easy for him from a position of almost poverty. I mean, consider she sold she sold his Bhagvatam to buy tea biscuits. That's when he was broke.
तो हम सोच सकते हैं कि प्रभुपाद जी उस समय कितने गरीब स्थिति में थे, क्योंकि उनकी
Not enough money.
उन्होंने चाय की बिस्किट लेने के लिए भागवतम
Not enough money to give her for tea biscuits, so he was broke.
प्रभुपाद जी के पास इतना धन भी नहीं था कि वो उनको चाय के लिए बिस्किट के लिए भी धन दे सके। प्रभुपाद जी बहुत ही
In America said it, you just pull out the rug. Krishna pulled the rug out from under him.
तो इसी प्रकार में कृष्ण ने उनको खींच लिया वहाँ से,
So his material life collapsed.
ताकि उनका जो भौतिक जीवन है वो समाप्त हो जाए।
But that tea or me, that was the last.
चाय और मैं वो सबसे अंतिम था।
Prabhupada was so disgusted. Then he realized, oh yes, my Guru Maharaj is right, I have to get out of this.
प्रभुपाद जी बहुत परेशान थे इससे, और फिर उनको लगा कि हाँ मेरे गुरु महाराज की
It seems that he left his house and family, wife and children without consideration.
और उन्होंने जो है बिना सोचे फिर उन्होंने अपने घर और बच्चों पत्नी को सबको त्याग दिया।
And he left for Vrindavan with no clear idea exactly what he was going to do.
और फिर वो वृंदावन की तरफ प्रस्थान किए, उनको पता भी नहीं था कि उनको कहाँ जाना है।
But he left everything behind, just walked out on his family life.
उन्होंने सब कुछ ऐसे ही छोड़ दिया और अपने गृहस्थ जीवन से इसी प्रकार से छोड़ने चले गए।
It happens sometimes.
ऐसा होता है कई बार।
In our society, there's a protocol. You know, the GBC is trying to be careful to make sure that the way in which men take sannyas is not a social disturbance.
तो हमारे संस्था में भी ऐसे नियम बनाए गए हैं ताकि जीबीसी जो है वो देखते हैं कि अगर कोई व्यक्ति छोड़ के जा रहा है तो ये सामाजिक रूप में क्लेश ना हो।
But Srila Prabhupada was just following inner dictation from Mahaprabhu and from Krishna.
श्रील प्रभुपाद जी जो है वो अंदर से जो उनको श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु और श्री कृष्ण से जो सुनाई दे रहा था वो उसी का पालन कर रहे थे।
Without consideration of social convention.
और सामाजिक क्लेशों को बिना
In other words, he cautiously chose Atmanivedana.
हाँ, तो उन्होंने आत्मनिवेदन उन्होंने सोच के चुना है।
Gave up everything for Krishna.
सब कुछ त्याग दिया कृष्ण के लिए।
Behind that was his Guru Maharaj pushing.
और उनके पीछे उनके गुरु महाराज को धक्का दे रहे थे।
He didn't have just one dream of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati going like this.
तो उनको सिर्फ एक ही ऐसा नहीं था, उनको एक ही स्वप्न आया था भक्तिसिद्धांत ठाकुर जी।
He had several dreams.
उनको बहुत से सपने आए थे।
By the time he had his final dream, he realized that he was going to have to surrender.
और जब तक उनको ये अंतिम स्वप्न आया तब तक उन्होंने ऐसा निर्णय कर लिया था कि अब मैं इनको शरणागत हो जाऊंगा।
When Prabhupada's reaction the first time that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur appeared in a dream and told him he must take sannyas.
प्रभुपाद जी ने जो है सब स्वप्न में इनको भक्तिसिद्धांत ठाकुर आए थे, उनको बोला था आप संन्यास लीजिए।
Prabhupada's reaction at that time was very emotional.
प्रभुपाद जी का जो उसके प्रति जो रिएक्शन था वो बहुत ही इमोशनल था।
He thought, this is terrible.
तो उन्होंने सोचा कि बहुत ही भयावह
How can I just walk out on my family?
मैं कैसे अपने गृहस्थी को छोड़ के बाहर चले जाऊँ।
So you have to understand, this is not because he was a Grihameti, certainly not.
तो आपको समझना है कि ऐसा नहीं था कि प्रभुपाद जी गृह के लिए थे,
Because a Vaishnava is soft-hearted.
क्योंकि वैष्णव जो है वो कोमल हृदय का होता है।
He was compelled to feel love for his family members.
और बाकी थे अपने जो घर के जो और जने थे उनसे
But he was not attached to them in a mundane way.
और वो एक भौतिक स्तर पे जो है उनसे आसक्त नहीं थे।
As a Vaishnava, he cared about them out of love.
क्योंकि वो एक वैष्णव थे इसलिए प्रेम से वो उनके ध्यान रखना चाहते थे।
But the order of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was going to predominate. You know, predominate?
तो लेकिन जो भक्तिसिद्धांत ठाकुर का जो उपदेश था वो उनको बहुत ही मुख्य रूप से उनकी बात
So that famous tea or me incident,
तो प्रसिद्ध चाय या मैं
Somehow or other, Prabhupada walked out without any clear idea exactly how he was going to be maintained.
शिल प्रभुपाद जो है रास्ते में छोड़ के चले गए बिना सोचे कि वो कैसे उनका देखभाल होगा.
So then he went to Vrindavan.
और फिर वो जो है वृंदावन गए.
Remembering the order of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he asked his godbrother, senior godbrother, who was a, what do you call, big devotee.
और अपने गुरु शिल भक्तिसिद्धांत ठाकुर का उपदेश में लगातार स्मरण करते थे तो आपने एक
Gaudiya Math was already crumbling.
और जो है गौड़िया मठ उस समय बहुत ही डगमगा
But
रहा था.
Tirtha Maharaj still considered himself to be the head of the Gaudiya Math.
तीर्थ महाराज जो है वो अपनी समझते थे अपने आप को गौड़िया मठ में.
Honoring this, Srila Prabhupada went to Tirtha Maharaj for shelter.
तो इसी को ध्यान रखते हुए शिल प्रभुपाद जी गए तीर्थ महाराज के पास शरण लेने के लिए.
Tirtha Maharaj told him, yes, you come join with us here first.
तो तीर्थ महाराज ने कहा ठीक है आप आइए हमें पहले हमारे यहाँ जुड़िए.
We'll give you a nice room, light, good ventilation, everything.
तो हम आपको अच्छा कमरा देंगे अच्छा सब कुछ सुविधाएं.
In other words, we'll give you a pleasant situation. We will take care of your needs.
हम आपकी सारी जो नीड्स है उसको पूरा करेंगे और साथ में आपको बहुत ही अच्छी सुविधाएं भी देंगे.
At first glance, it might seem like a generous, well-intended offer.
तो ये बहुत ही पहले नजर में देखा जाए तो बहुत ही अच्छा जो उनको दिया गया था मौका.
Prabhupada didn't buy it
प्रभुपाद ने ये नहीं किया इस मौके को नहीं किया.
because Tirtha Maharaj was putting it too far in the future.
क्योंकि तीर्थ महाराज जो है ये भविष्य में बहुत आगे का बता रहे थे.
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was ordering him take sannyas immediately, not sometime, not 5 or 7 or 10 years down the road. Forget it. Prabhupada could understand the intent of his Guru Maharaj. So, Tirtha Maharaj was saying, yeah, we may give you sannyas. There was no solid commitment there. But you must stay with us in our ashram for some time. And we will decide if you go on a preaching mission to America or not. That was more than Srila Prabhupada could swallow. He was being ordered by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati to preach in the English-speaking countries. In the end, we see that Srila Prabhupada as a pioneer. You know, pioneer, groundbreaking. He personally opened the mission for preaching in Russia, personally. And that was followed by, this is under hardcore communist government dictatorship. He was carrying Bhagavad Gita when he arrived in Russia. The security guards were debating. Because religious literatures were not allowed. So some were saying, should he be arrested and put in jail? But some guard who was more intelligent said, it's a small offense, let it go. But that was the mood of the former Soviet Union. It was a very harsh dictatorship. Later, the devotees, as you know, are very clever. Long before Hare Krishnas became controversial or known,
कृष्ण जो है सबको पता चल गया था।
there was an international book fair in Moscow.
एक अंतर्राष्ट्रीय किताब का जो एक मेला था।
So the devotees were probably dressed in street clothes, most likely.
तो भक्त लोग जो है उस समय धर्मी जो कपड़े पहन के गए थे।
So it was an international book fair, so they booked a booth there.
अंतर्राष्ट्रीय किताब मेला था तो इसलिए वहाँ जो आयोजित किया गया
And set up with the Bhagavad Gita, perhaps they had Bhagvatam also. It was at that book fair that one intelligent young man came. Who became Srila Prabhupada's first Russian disciple. And he carried on through thick and thin the pioneering of spreading the movement in Russia. Though it was very difficult. Perhaps you've seen that play called, based on the book called Salted Bread. The Prabhus made an excellent play out of it. Last time I saw it, it was at that, they call it farm, on Independence Day or something. Farm. There's, you know, that Prabhu who built this temple here has an estate. It's called a farm. It's not very agricultural. It's out in the country. It's a big estate. About 10,000 people come. They produced the play there. Very expert. So my godbrother, who undercover harsh in the Soviet Union, he risked his life to spread Krishna consciousness. Cupping things on a Xerox machine was illegal. So they hand copied Bhagavad Gita and distributed amongst the undercover devotees. But as you know in that story, Salted Bread, some of the devotees martyred themselves because they refused to give up Krishna consciousness. The head of the secret police said, "Look, we will spare you, but you have to give up this Hare Krishna business." If you don't, we're going to send you to the prison camp in Siberia. Very fixed devotees. They refused to remain loyal to Krishna and Prabhupada. So, indeed, they sent him to Siberia, and they imprisonment in Siberia. That's where he died. He made japabis out of pieces of stale bread. They showed it really nicely in the play. They showed it nicely in the play. I think a garland made out of paper or something like that. And he died very peacefully. Obviously, that great martyr went straight to Goloka Vrindavan, obviously. So as Chikalagya, Prabhupada could foresee all these things. And he realized that sannyas was for preaching. Not for bhajan and nandi. Gosyanandi.
गोष्ठी करती है।
We discussed previously.
हमने इसके बारे में पहले भी चर्चा की।
Gosyanandi means everywhere and anywhere.
गोष्ठी मतलब कहीं भी और कहीं कहाँ भी और कहीं भी।
In the spirit of Narada Muni, the original Gosyanandi.
नारद मुनि के भाव में जो कि ओरिजिनल गोष्ठी होती है, मुख्य मूल रूप से।
So, in this way, Prabhupada rejected the demand of Tirtha Maharaj. Prabhupada was trying to honor the fact that he was head of the former Gaudiya Math, but was already fractionalizing. Prabhupada was trying to honor his position as head of the former institution. Even today, when you go by down Bhakti Road in Mayapur, when you come to Chaitanya Madhurya, which is Tirtha Maharaj's temple, there's a sign out front. Sign out front. Sign. It says Chaitanya Madh, headquarters of the Gaudiya Math. Sad but true, the Gaudiya Math exists only as a loose federation. And a federation means, yes, they are under the mantle of the lotus feet of Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, but it's not like ISKCON. There's no GBC, no GBC. And so each temple is completely independent with their own local acharya. It's not what Bhakti Saraswati Thakur went in. This ISKCON society is successful, with all of its plus and minus, still it's very successful. Why? Because they surrendered to Prabhupada's instruction to create a GBC. The Gaudiya Math was supposed to do that. The senior sannyasis, they wanted their own temple independent. They didn't want to be told what to do by other sannyasis and managers. But Prabhupada was honoring Tirtha Maharaj still. So he said, you come and live with us and we'll decide if we want to you on. He was thinking to himself, my Guru Maharaj has ordered me to go to the West and preach Krishna consciousness. Green light from my seniors. They were man older. But Tirtha Swami, he did not agree to give Prabhupada sannyas. You stay with us for a while and then maybe we'll give you sannyas. Internally, Prabhupada was disgusted by this. So somehow or other he took shelter of his god brother and friend Keshava Maharaj. Keshava Maharaj's attitude was totally different. The exact opposite. Yes, you come. You send out. She did. So Prabhupada in one sense was for immediately honoring the order of Bhakti Saraswati Thakur. So it turns out this was Krishna's plan.
तो फिर हम देखते हैं यही थी कृष्ण की योजना।
Then, of course, after that, in the early years, it was a struggle for Prabhupada.
और फिर हम देखते हैं उसके बाद जो शुरुआती के जो साल थे उस समय प्रभुपाद जी के बहुत ही
He tried to start a society.
वो एक संस्था को स्थापना करना चाहते थे।
What was that name of that city where he tried to start a society? Huh?
झांसी 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 वो कौन सी सिटी में है? झांसी।
So, some lady offered him some land and buildings and all that, and the photos there and the Amrita, the League of Devotees, he was going to
तो
call
वहाँ
it.
पे प्रभुपाद जी ने लीग ऑफ डिवोटीज जो झांसी में स्थापित किया था, तो वहाँ पे लेकिन एक महिला ने इन सब पे जो वहाँ जो जमीन थी उस पे अपना
So this was his first attempt at starting a society.
और ये उनका पहला अटेम्प्ट था इस स्थापना करने के इस संस्था को।
But she reneged. You know, reneged means she backed off. She more or less ousted him.
और फिर जो है वो जमीन से प्रभुपाद जी को निकाल दिया गया, वो पीछे हट गई जो महिला थी।
A big setback. So then Srila Prabhupada went to Vrindavan,
प्रभुपाद जी के लिए एक बड़ी हार थी।
stay in the temple there, his room, his famous room there in Vrindavan.
वहाँ पे मंदिर में बहुत एक जो प्रमुख प्रभुपाद जी का वहाँ पे रूम भी है, कमरा भी है।
At that temple.
तो उस मंदिर में
A nice room there. I can appreciate that. It's extremely
वहाँ पे बहुत तपस्या थी उस कमरे में थी ना,
Radha Damodar temple.
राधा दामोदर मंदिर।
I can. They're funny.
बहुत ही हास्य भी है।
I guess you've all been there.
मैं सोचता हूँ आप लोग सब गए होंगे वहाँ पे।
All those deities are funny. They're not, you know, grave. No, they're all funny.
गंभीर नहीं रहते वहाँ पे, वो बहुत ही हंस-
Prabhupada liked that. I like it, and Prabhupada liked it.
प्रभुपाद जी को बहुत पसंद था, मेरे को भी इसलिए पता है कि प्रभुपाद जी को ये बहुत पसंद था।
Word of the English word is wacky. Wacky means funny, strange, different.
वो जो भाव तो ये बहुत ही अलग था न,
Odd, strange, different.
तो ये बहुत ही अनोखा था वहाँ पे।
Those deities are different. They're strange. They are eccentric. They're odd, but they're wonderful.
तो वो जो विग्रह है बहुत ही अनोखी थी, वो थोड़ी अलग थी लेकिन बहुत ही।
So Srila Prabhupada very much liked that mood of those deities, and every day he's right there meditating on them and worshiping on them.
श्रील प्रभुपाद जी को उन विग्रहों का भाव बहुत ही पसंद था, इसलिए श्रील प्रभुपाद जी वहाँ बैठ विग्रहों के
Living so austere in that room was just.
हालांकि प्रभुपाद जी ऐसा कठिन तपस्या में जीवन जी रहे थे वहाँ पे ऐसे कमरे में जो एक जेल के भांति था,
But those wonderful deities were increasing his love for Krishna like anything.
लेकिन इतने सुंदर जो वहाँ विग्रह थे वो उनकी कृष्ण के प्रति प्रेम को और बढ़ाते जा
In
रहे थे।
fact, anyone who associates with those deities,
और जो भी उन विग्रह से जिन्होंने देखा है,
their love for Krishna will increase.
उनका जो प्रेम है कृष्ण के प्रति वो बढ़ेगा।
Of course, that temple is very special. Rupa Goswami's samadhi is there.
वो मंदिर बहुत ही विशेष है क्योंकि वहाँ रूप गोस्वामी की समाधि भी है
An extreme holy place within a holy place.
और बहुत ही प्रमुख जो पावन जो स्थित।
So Srila Prabhupada was charged by all that Vladini Shakti.
तो प्रभुपाद जी उस मंदिर के माहौल की पूरी बलात्कारी शक्ति से भरपूर हो गए।
And that gave them the strength to make plans for spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world.
फिर उनको वहाँ से शक्ति प्राप्त हुई इस संस्था को प्रचार करने का पूरा विश्व में।
He was a sannyasi.
वो एक सन्यासी थे।
He would approach, of course, he would approach Brajabasis. He would approach
वो
Brajabasis.
ब्रजवासी के पास में जाते थे।
Please, can you give me one? Come with me to America.
कि आप में से कोई मेरे साथ चलना चाहेगा अमेरिका में?
In those days, Indians are not very eager to go to America.
उन दिनों जो भारतीय लोग थे वो इतने उत्सुक नहीं थे विदेश विदेश जाने के लिए।
Now, if Prabhupada said to somebody, "Come with me," they would say, "Oh yes, I mean,
आज यदि कोई
when can we go? When can we go?"
आज यदि कोई प्रॉब्लम जैसे महाराज से पूछा जाए
Times have
तो वो
changed.
हमेशा हाँ हाँ मैं तब चल सकता हूँ तब चल सकता हूँ।
But they said, "No, Swamiji,
तो उन्होंने कहा नहीं स्वामी नहीं स्वामी
best of luck. We think it's great. we think it's great doing this." Understood.
बहुत से वैष्णव के पास है शिला प्रभुपाद जी लेकिन कोई भी इसमें रुचि नहीं रखता।
Takes a lot of determination.
इसके लिए बहुत ही कठिन
I've been talking to you about determination. What determination it took to start this movement, that we have to follow.
दृढ़ प्रतिज्ञता के लिए
We have to follow.
तो हमें जो है दृढ़ प्रतिज्ञ
The
होना
example of the Prophet, what extraordinary determination it takes. And we will face obstacle after obstacle.
हमारे जीवन में बहुत सारे कठिन परिस्थितियां आती रहेंगी इसलिए हमें दृढ़
These
प्रतिज्ञ
obstacles are tests by Krishna.
ये जो जितनी कठिनाइयां आती है ये सब श्री कृष्ण द्वारा भेजे गए परीक्षा है हमारे
So
लिए।
Krishna gave Prabhupada hundreds and hundreds of tests.
तो भगवान कृष्ण ने प्रभुपाद जी के जीवन में बहुत से ऐसी परीक्षाएं रखी
And in years since I've been practicing Krishna consciousness, it's given me thousands of.
हजारों की संख्या में मेरे जीवन में जो है परीक्षाएं रखी है
Why?
भगवान कृष्ण ने। क्यों?
Because he's ready. There's one lecturer where Prabhupada says, Krishna is.
बस इतना ही हो गया है। इतना कहा कि भगवान तैयार है।
But if he'd completed the statement, it would be to Krishna.
यही कंप्लीट
Know that.
और बहुत ही
When they realize we have that kind of backing,
ऐसा
succeeded.
बहुत सारे असुरों ने ऐसा अभ्यास किया है कि कृष्ण को दबाया
That's what I tried to tell. Any questions, comments? Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande.